Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back here with the Aurum Stay-at-Home series. We are here today with Dr. Paul Piccininni. Dr. Piccininni, please give him a wave. So first, I'm Jason Zelmer. I'm the National Director of Sales and Practice Growth with the Aurum Group. You're probably getting sick and tired of seeing my face on these things. But to introduce Dr. Paul, he's a member of the IOC Medical Commission Games Group, the IIHF Medical Committee. He's been involved in planning and implementation of the medical service for every summer and winter Olympic Games since 1996 in Atlanta. He's co-chaired the recent Osaka Consensus Conference on mouth guards and concussions and will present some of the as yet unpublished findings along with some historical and recent research. You've lectured in a dozen countries. You're also very involved in basketball as well as hockey. So you're a guy I definitely want to talk to. You and I are going to be talking next week on Tuesday, May 9th, 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And the title of our webinar is Out of the Penalty Box and Back in the Game, which I think is a fantastic metaphor. And I got a couple quick questions for you today to give people an idea of what they can expect next week. Most of these webinars, we talk a lot about the dentists and how are the dentists going to return to work? What is that going to look like? And what's that new normal? But when we talk about return to sport, tell me, what do you think is going to change in a world of sport, and how are they going to gear up to be ready to come back? Because I think we all need a nice, positive distraction right now.
Well, Jason, that's a great question. And, you know, I generally like to have my presentations ready more than a week beforehand, but the situation with return to sport is changing so rapidly, literally on a day-to-day basis, that I have a few holes still sitting in my deck for the presentation next Tuesday on the 19th. I can talk about a couple things. I mean, everyone in Canada, we live and breathe hockey, and all of the provincial and local governing bodies are waiting around to see what Hockey Canada is going to do, because it all filters down from there. Hockey Canada currently has a committee that's working on the return to play protocols. They haven't published them yet. USA Hockey has come out with theirs, and the International Ice Hockey Federation have come out with theirs. And I will be highlighting some of those next week and going through them, but I'm sure by next Tuesday, there's going to be more information on the table. In terms of those sports that are already back, I'm sure the dentists in the crowd loved watching the UFC championship last night, where the poor guy in the final bout between the fourth and the fifth round actually handed one of his teeth to the referee, who put it in his pocket, and they didn't stop the fight. So, you know, it segues well into what the second part of my talk next week will hopefully be, which is how to prevent having your teeth knocked out in a UFC bout and having to hand them to the referee. And that video is available online if anybody wants to look for it. But, you know, in addition to talking about the return to play and what Hockey Canada will speculate on doing, what Canada Basketball is going to do, and what other international sports have already done, I also want to talk about some of the new advances when your athletes return to play in mouthguard design, fabrication, and the purpose of them. There's been quite a bit in 2020, quite a bit of research that's come out about the potential link between mouthguards and concussions. And I want to highlight some of that stuff in addition to talking about the idea of a mouthguard clinic even exists now in the COVID world. Can you possibly go into a hockey arena and you know, do mouthguards? What issues do you have to be sensitive to between you and your lab when you're sending mouthguard impressions off to the lab and when you're doing your mouthguard inserts? So I'm going to try to kind of deal in two different worlds here. I'm one of the advisory members on this WHO group that we're meeting again tomorrow, and I'll hopefully bring the latest and greatest information that the WHO has in this whole thing as a bit of a tease. If any of the viewers want to go to the WHO site, they actually have a risk mitigation strategy specific for sport, and they have kind of a spreadsheet that you can put your sport into and look at the areas that you might be able to tweak it a little bit to make it a little safer. And I'm going to be talking about that template in a little more detail next week.
Very cool. Well, hey, I'm excited for it myself as a giant hockey nut I am. I really hope that the guy at least sanitized his tooth before he gave it to the ref. But listen, next week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, you'll be able to register either through the aurumgroup.com under online courses, or watch for our Instagram and LinkedIn endorsements where you'll also be able to register. I am Jason Zelmer, and this is Dr. Paul Piccininni, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, have a good day, and wash your hands.
Bye-bye.